Hello, everyone. My name is Mola Deji, and welcome to the show, The Village You Don't See. Our show is focused on highlighting individuals and their support systems in the environment they work in. Today, we are talking to Raphael Uduhiri. Ralph is the founder and creator of Naija Grille, an all-purpose seasoning line with the right heat and flavor. Before Ralph launched Naija Grill, he spent some time in corporate America working with big retailers like Walmart and PetSmart in different roles and capacity. Ralph is a graduate of Southern Illinois University, and he currently resides in Phoenix, Arizona. So I just want to say welcome to the show, Mr. Ralph or Ralph.
Hey,
Do you go by Ralph or Raphael?
I
Oh,
mean, either one. People call me both. I answer both of them. But yeah, no, thanks, Mo. Thanks for having me on your show. No, I'm excited to be on and just have a chat about what's been going on with me and
aw-
Naija Grill.
awesome, awesome. So, Ralph, I know you had some time in the corporate America world, and so what made you start Naija Grill? What was that spark? Can you give us some history on that?
Yeah, so it just kind of started with me, like a lot of people. I mean, I like to grill. I mean, we both lived in Northwest Arkansas, where I mean, it's no secret. There's not a whole lot to do. So, I mean, so to pass time, it was a lot of hanging out with friends and grilling, and just sitting with the family and just chilling. And that was when I had like the friends I had over there. We would just we just hang out and grill, and we each a couple of us we kind of had our own like home spice mix that we would use because kind of like I'm from Nigeria, you're from Nigeria. The kind of spices that we like, we cook with a lot of spices. You
Yeah,
don't
we do.
find a lot of that stuff in the stores, right? Like the
Yeah,
stuff you find in the stores, either it has some flavor, there's no heat, or some stuff is too hot, doesn't have enough flavor. So a few of us like we just kind of came up with our own and just mixed our own. And kind of like a lot of people, you have your own homemade mix container of stuff that I grill with. So that's how it started. Like I just had like a home mix that I use to grill.
yeah.
And every time I grilled, I used this mix. And so when I moved to Arizona, I had some friends and some coworkers over. I did some grilling, and everyone just kept talking about like, wow, like your chicken is really good. Like your chicken is really good. At first, I thought it would just be nice. I'm like,
Yeah,
because when you give someone free food, they're gonna be
yeah.
nice. At first, I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah, you're just being nice. But no, they were like, no, this is like really good. I'm like, wait, how good? The
Yeah.
true mark of if someone thinks something is good is how much they're willing to spend. So I'm like, would you pay
Right,
for it?
right. Yeah, yeah. Would you pay for it? Right. And
Right.
and,
And
and
the
I think
answer
they
was
said
right.
yes. I think based on what I've seen with you guys, the answer is yes.
Yeah, no, they said yes. And actually, people, friends, family, coworker, people started ordering chicken from me. Like I would grill, chicken on the weekend, and people would be like, "Hey, let me get some thighs, let me get some drumsticks," and I would just throw like some extra on the grill. And that's kind of how it started. Like I was just grilling. And
Oh,
people, yeah. So that's how it started. I was grilling chicken. People were like, "Let me get some of that chicken, some of that chicken thighs." People use it for like meal prep. So it kind of started as that was from the grilling side.
oh,
You
nice. So
know,
you were grilling chicken to sell to people, and
Right,
and the
right,
reason they liked your chicken was because of your spice. So,
right. So yeah,
oh,
so for me, as people are talking about the chicken is good, I'm thinking about okay, they're paying me for it, so I'm like, okay, how could this become a business? So really, there's two things, right? It was either one, you sell the chicken, like you sell food, and you go
yeah,
the
like a
the food
restaurant. Yeah, like a
exactly
restaurant. Yeah,
restaurant food truck, you go that
yeah,
route. And I'm like, that's a lot, like the restaurant business is really, that's really a lot to do. Selling food has there's a lot of licenses, a lot of, I mean, I
yeah,
know people
yeah.
that sell food and I know what they have to go through. So, but then I thought like, but it's really the spice that makes the chicken. Like that's what they're really, when they say
Yeah,
they like the chicken, they're
yeah,
really saying they like the spice,
yeah, yeah. I
you
mean,
know?
that's awesome. That's awesome.
So so that's kind of how it started. So that's why I made the choice. I decided not to go into the food side, and I'm like, let me do the spice because a couple things is easier to get off the ground because you're just mixing spice.
Yeah.
Easier to sell because you can sell it online, you can sell it anywhere versus food where you're restricted to your locale. And
Yeah.
I'm like, it's gonna be easier to get off. So I'm like, let me actually put the recipe down and get the spices and see what people think about. And I mean, the rest is history. But that's how it started. It started from the grill, the charcoal grill I have at the back of my house. That's where Naija Grill
Oh
really started.
man, that's a great story. I mean, so now you decide, okay, I got this spice, I got this chicken business, I'm gonna sell this spice. Now you're in it as a founder and creator of Niger Grill and creating these spices. So from your corporate 8 to 5 job, how was your how has your typical day changed now as an entrepreneur?
Oh, I mean, completely. I mean, when you're in when in corporate, I mean, even though people say in corporate, like, oh, like, especially like, corporate retail, where I
Yeah,
was, like every day is different, but it's mostly still the same. Like you come in, you have your hundreds of emails you got to knock out, you got your
yeah,
meetings, so you're very regimented in
yeah,
corporate America. So that's what, obviously that was the life that I was in. Now as an entrepreneur, is you really have a blank slate, right? Like there's no one is telling you here are the goals, here's the things. I mean, you got
yeah,
emails, but it's like the emails that you come are from things that you've done. So it's really about you saying, okay, here's the end goal. I want to get, like, whether it's, I want the Nigeria to be on, in every kitchen, on every table. But
yeah,
what are the things I need to do? So I just started. I'm selling. I need more people to sell. How do I get more people to know about the spice? And then that kind of um, sets up what your day and what your week is going to be like, just based on the activities that you've chosen. But every day is literally different. Like some days, I would be focused on making spice because I
yeah,
made the product. Some days I would be, having calls with people, either like people I was buying the produce from. I was doing research on the internet about the business, about spice. Um, some days, like on the weekends, I was having events where I'm actually out selling the spice. So again, when you're an entrepreneur and you have to wear all these hats, you're
yeah,
literally doing. And I saw, like, there's like a TikTok or like an Instagram reel where someone shows this, like, hey, meet the assistant, I meet the CEO, I meet
yeah.
the
Same person, huh?
security person, I meet the marketing director, and they're all the same. They're all the
Yeah,
same people. So
man.
yeah, so really figuring out how, let's say you have, like, let's say you have 100 things to do, and obviously
Yeah,
you can't do everything at once, but every day you're trying to pick, okay, what's one thing I'm gonna knock out and focus on this. So one day you may be on the phone a lot, or one day you may be researching a lot, or one day I'm in the kitchen and, in the lab, quote unquote, mixing up spice, or some earlier in the days I was working on a spice. Like I had the original spice, but I'm like, let me do something different. So you're
yeah,
kind of working on different things. So it's truly completely different from day to day.
yeah,
Like, and you have to obviously come up with those activities of what are you going to do. I mean, you can't, versus, you can't just sit down and sit at home, because if you sit, unlike the other regular job where, people are giving you work, if you don't do anything, nothing is going to happen in most of the
yeah,
cases.
yeah. I mean, yeah, it's kind of you eat what you cook, right? I mean,
Yeah.
kind of situation. So, I mean, so you go from this regimented 8 to 5 emails and stuff. You go into this blank slate where you have to mix spice, be the marketing guy, CEO, founder, probably cleaner after you mess up your
Right.
factory,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Talk to my wife about that.
marketer,
Right. Right.
D2C, customer service, and you may probably have a little team around you. But what motivates you every day when you wake up and say, man, I got to get Niger Grill, to the next level? Like, what motivates you to keep going instead of just say, okay, I tried, I just keep this like a side hustle and go back to 8 to 5? What keeps you going to say this can be bigger? What is that driving force?
I mean, the big thing is actually something that's mine, and I'm like, I really, so when I see the vision of where this is going to, and I'm like, I know what this can do. So that's ultimately
Yeah,
what's driving me. Like, so you're at like level, you know, 2. and you in your mind you kind of see like level 20, like what this could be,
Yeah.
and you're like, I can't stop now, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I need to go as hard as I can to get to that. So it's that vision that kind of keeps you every day, because no one is gonna motivate you. Like really, as an entrepreneur, like
Yeah.
if you don't know, like if you don't find a way to motivate yourself, like you're not gonna last. Like
Yeah.
I don't feel. So you have to have like a goal in mind that you're trying to hit, and until you get, close to that goal, at that goal, like every day, and of course goals change as you hit small goals, like they change a little bit. But I'll tell you the other thing,
Yeah.
and probably like what maybe the biggest thing that really drives me is the response from people. Like
Yeah.
literally. So if you go, like I just started like a year and a half ago. Like I go on Etsy and I read the reviews. So I have 80 reviews on Etsy. Like people
Yeah.
left reviews. And you're in retail. You know how hard it is to get
Yeah, to get reviews.
random.
Some people pay for reviews,
Right.
to get reviews, major CPGs pay millions of dollars to get reviews,
That's
right?
how hard it is to get an honest review. And I'm like, I just started a year and a half ago, and I have 80 on one platform.
Oh my
And the
goodness.
average is 5 stars. And people are talking about this spice like, this is addicting. I love this stuff. Like, yo, I can't wait. Like, I'm hooked. It's the best thing. I use it on everything. Or when I'm in the farmers markets and people come to me and they're like, hey, I bought your spice last weekend, and yo, just to tell me that they bought it and they love it, like no other reason.
I
So the
know.
response from people is what drives me, because I'm like, yo, this is something that's like, even feels like it's bigger than me right now. Like people really love the spice. The way they're reacting to it is not normal. I mean, we're both in retail. You know how you react to like a normal product, like an
Yeah,
everyday
yeah,
product.
yeah. Yeah.
And when people, and you know what it means, where people are like genuinely excited about something. So I would say that's the other part. Like other than like, my goal, like the reaction and the encouragement and just and so I'll tell you. So I do farmers markets, and when I'm
Yeah.
in the markets, like I give people a sample of my spice and some popcorn to try. And I will tell you, there is nothing that can replace the pure reaction on someone's face when you give them something they've never tried before. So they don't know what they're trying, and you can't fake you like with food. When someone gives you something, your initial reaction is so pure and so unadulterated. And when
Yeah.
people try this 9 out of 10 times, I mean, I don't want to say 10 out of 10, so it doesn't feel like I'm bragging. People have this look like, oh my God, like this is good. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like smiling. I'm like, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
So,
Popcorn and the spice. That's interesting, huh? That's how you make your people
yo,
taste the spice. That's cool.
yo, I'm telling you, the popcorn thing kind of came out of left field because, and that's why I feel like like my path is definitely different. Like there's nothing traditional about what I'm doing. Like because I'm selling spice, and then people are like, wait, why are you talking about popcorn? You making popcorn? I'm like,
Yeah.
no, no, I don't make popcorn, but the spice is good on popcorn, and that's how people taste it. And like that again, that reaction from people, that tells me that I'm on the right track. Like every day I see that in person, and you see that like pure response from people, like, oh my God. Like, so even whether they buy or not, because sometimes they do that and they're not ready, they don't buy, but they
Yeah.
still give that pure reaction of, oh wow, like this is really good. So back to your question, like what motivates me every day, that, and I'm fortunate that I continue to get the same feedback, whether I'm here in Arizona or, as you know, I've been traveling. I was in
Yeah.
Houston, I was in
Yeah.
Atlanta. I'm getting the same feedback. So so that helps reinforce that, like, hey, you're on the right track. Just keep grinding, and like, eventually, you'll get to where you're trying to go.
Man, that's great. That's how. Now I have some Naija spice at home, so I have to try the popcorn thing. So yeah, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
it's really like a game. I feel like it's a game changer, and I'm not in the popcorn business, but I
Okay.
think like I feel like it's a game changer in popcorn, and people don't know yet, but they will know. Like,
Yeah,
just stay
you,
tuned. They will know. When they know, it's gonna be like something else.
as they say, if you know, you know, right?
But
You might have to talk to some of these popcorn manufacturers to see
hey,
maybe the Naija spice mix is the next one, man.
I've
For
started.
the
I've got like right now. I've got 3 popcorn businesses on board that are buying the spice and they legitimately have a Niger Grill flavor. I'm talking
Oh,
to some others to get them on board. But yeah, it's a real thing. I've got legit popcorn businesses that are buying the spice from me and do a Niger Grill flavor as one of their
yeah.
flavors.
I mean, heat is just awesome. Heat is something I'll never think in popcorn, but I like it in chips. And I can, chips and popcorn sometimes. So I definitely see that. I gotta try that. So, so the name of the show, right? The village you don't see. So, Ralph, let's talk about your village, right? And when we talk about village, we're really talking about the support group, the people you talk to, the people that are there, the people that you call to just maybe get some extra push, people you call to business, how you run this, you run things by. So, what is your support group like?
So for me, it's really, I mean, I would say it's maybe not a traditional support group, but
Yeah,
so I do a lot of farmers markets and a lot
yeah,
of like pop-ups and events. And what I do is when I go to these events, obviously the goal of these events is to sell, right? Like you're
yeah,
going to sell. But for me, like that's half of the thing I'm looking to do. The other half is like I'm looking to make connections. I'm looking to observe, and
yeah.
I'm asking people questions. So a lot of
Okay,
times it's like my village are the perfect strangers that end up being next to my booth that
okay.
I'm
Whoa,
talking
whoa,
to.
whoa. That's very different. Yeah,
Yeah, no, so because you're just asking questions, and you're like, hey, how is this market? Or like, hey, how do you do that? And like just in conversation, like people are just sharing like tips and things that so for example, like I was in a market and I heard this lady talking about like her FedEx guy. I'm like, oh wait, hold on. What do you mean your FedEx guy? She's like, oh yeah, I've got a FedEx guy that like gives me good rates on my small business. I'm like, let me get that number.
yeah.
She emails it to me, and I get now I have the FedEx guy. Now
Oh,
I'm getting discounts on my shipping. So it's maybe not the traditional village, but everywhere I go, like people I meet, there's always something to learn from. Even people that don't know that you're teaching anything. So I do a lot of observing and like just talking to people and asking questions about things, and that's kind of how I like learn and pick up like and my even my setup has evolved and my things have evolved since I started. It's really from a lot of like hey, just observing like again people, perfect strangers,
yeah.
but just people next to me, people across from me, people that I'm looking at and like okay, look at what that person is doing, like look at how that look, and then just asking them like hey, if you don't mind, like where did you get that?
So with that said, that's actually a very unique way. I mean, I wouldn't have thought about that, but it's so funny you said that because that kind of ties into the next situation that I was going to talk about was like who do you discuss idea generation? So it looks like you're an observer. So you go to this farmers market, see the way maybe they package, see how they merchandise, see their Etsy's and what they do. But like when you think about idea generation and saying, hey, how do I go from who are some of the people that you bounce stuff off of? I mean, you don't have to name
So
names, but like,
so I'll be honest,
yeah,
not a lot. Like
okay,
I mean, I don't know what you call that. Like I'm very like to
in,
myself. Like
okay,
I mean, have conversations with myself. But I do have two really good friends that like
uh,
when I like really want to bounce stuff off, and these are people that are accomplished in their fields. And like I said, I mean, I'm not gonna
yeah,
name, but they know themselves. Like they're accomplished in their fields, and I bounce ideas off of them, and I love it because these are people that when I talk to, there's always a back and forth. Like they're like, okay, I want to do this. Like, okay, like why do you want to do this? Like, hey, why did you do something else? And there's always like a not an argument, but a discussion. And
yeah,
they're giving me, and the reason I use these people is they force me to think about like angles or things that I had not really, thought about. And but it also so that's one, but it also allows me to see how good my point is, kind
yeah,
of arguing, not arguing, but like going that against
like
like
devil's advocate kind of
exactly like
situation.
seeing how like I feel like this is my point, but someone is like someone that has like some good points is saying like okay, why are you doing this, like why do you want to, so it really makes me see like okay how serious and how well I thought through what I want to do, and it helps me button that up as I'm having these discussions with them. So yeah, I have a couple people that like when I like want to do something major, I kind of say like, hey, this is what I'm looking at. And almost always, like I said, there's always like a banter of like, why you do that? I mean, have you looked at this? Have you looked at that? And again, we might not always agree, but I always take something from the discussion. Like there's always, so I may not agree to, maybe they say I should do A. I may not do A, but I
Yeah.
may do like a variation of that, or I may use what they told me to modify my B to
Yeah.
say, okay, I maybe I don't agree all the way, but you have a lot of good points that I want, and that's something that I feel is very important.
Because you
I think
gotta
as a
listen, right? You have to
exactly,
listen.
and
Yeah.
I think sometimes people feel that when someone gives you a different point of view, like you have to take it. No, sometimes you don't have to take it all. You almost have to deconstruct, a competing argument to say you may not take everything, but don't throw kind of like they say. And I hope this doesn't fair. Don't throw away the baby with the bathwater.
Yeah.
Don't throw away the argument because you don't agree with it. Deconstruct it and say, are there elements of what the person said
Whoa.
that actually
Whoa.
make sense? That can allow you to modify. You don't change what you're doing, but that person made some points that allow you to modify what you're going to do because there were some key points. That I feel like some people just think this person has a different point of view. They told me to do a different thing. I'm just going to discount what they said because I don't agree with it. Like, I feel like that's a bad way to,
To
to
look at the
engage in
situation.
dialogue. Right.
Man, you're giving out game here to all this young entrepreneurs, man. We might have to charge them 99 cents or something.
Yeah, right.
Oh, awesome, man. That's great. That's great. So I'll tell you. So as an entrepreneur, you Naija Grill, every day is probably not the best day. Even at when you probably worked your corporate job, right? So is there someone you call? I know you're kind of introverted in your way sometimes, but is there someone you call for pick me up? Who is that person? Maybe closer. Is there someone you discuss and just say, man, this is how I'm feeling? Is there someone that you lean on for that pick me up to continue to ground you and why you're doing it? I mean, besides the customer, someone probably more deeper.
Yeah. So again, kind of like I said, not a lot, but I do have another friend, and it's funny. Like when we talk, like we're gonna talk about everything,
Yeah,
but he's actually like he's in corporate America. He's actually pretty high up. But when we talk, we kind of talk about everything,
yeah,
and I always find out that like when I talk to him, like I always get like the encouraging because I mean kind of
yeah,
like I mean you're an entrepreneur yourself. Like is it most of the time is hard. Like
yeah.
let's just not even try to sugarcoat like everyone, like most of the time, like most of the days is tough, is rough. So but when I talk to this friend, like I always get a lot of encouragement, and like you always get people that tell you like, hey, like just keep going, like so I'm like I would say maybe one or two people that again when I call, I don't call specifically for that, but when we end up talking, that's what I get from the conversations, that encouragement of, hey, like I'm proud of what you're doing, like keep up with it, like and when you get that from someone that they themselves are like they're pretty high up, they're pretty established, and they give you that encouraging, like that's pretty dope. When I come out from calls like that. But kind of like I told you, so not a lot. I mean, a lot of times I just find ways to like self motivate because again, it's rough out here. Like I mean, I'm still learning because I just left PetSmart in January, so this is all still very new. Like and I'm just finding out that, and kind of like you said, there's some hard days. There's weeks where like, wow, I'm not really seeing these sales.
Yeah.
Um, but what I really feel that what is important is you just stay in the activity, right? So I mean, because it does like because the at the end of the day, things happen, and this already happened to me like in this short time. Like things happen that you don't, and you're like, oh, I don't know where that came from,
Yeah.
but actually I know where that came from. It came from the consistent activity, even when shit. Sorry, let me just
Yeah.
sorry. Even when stuff was bad and you kept hitting, because at the end of the day, you don't know people are watching, and I see it.
Yeah.
You don't know who's watching, so you can't take your guard down because you feel like stuff is slow. You don't know what's happening in the background. So the day or the days that you take off might be the day that someone that has influence is actually watching you. And if you're not in your game, like you could just miss an opportunity. So that just, again, it's not easy, but that just makes me like, hey, every day you just have to go hard. And like, and so far, somehow, not even, sometimes I look at things, I'm like, how did that even happen? The only thing that I see is consistent. Is you gotta, that grind has to be consistent and every day, and cannot be dependent on whether you've seen like the big success or not. Like you just have to keep going.
Man, man, man. That is awesome. So I'll just I so man, a lot of things come in the popcorn flavors you're mixing. So what's next for Naija Grill? Let us, I mean, people that are gonna be listening, what's next?
Yeah,
Um,
so I mean, so I would say, so you mentioned the popcorn. So right now, I've got a couple big things that just kind of announced. So I'm on Walmart.com, so pretty pumped about that. So you can get the spice on Walmart.com through the marketplace. I'm about to be on Amazon in a little bit. My website NaijaGrill.com is about to be, live. So on the e-commerce side, so I'm excited. Those things are popping up. Um, but then you mentioned the popcorn. Like I will have, like, working with the popcorn companies, I will have um at least one of them on my site where people can buy.
yeah,
Um but and I do, I'm telling you, like, when you try this popcorn, like, I went to an event like this Igbo convention a couple
yeah,
weeks ago, and I had that popcorn. People are still DMing me at this point saying, like, because I'm out right now, I don't have the
yeah,
popcorn. I have
yeah,
some people are like, "Yo, where's that popcorn? Like, I heard about it, or I had some. Like, let me get more."
yeah,
So that stuff is like really really fire. So for me, it's just people. I would just want people to just check out the page, like check me out on Instagram, check me out on Facebook, check out the Etsy page, because I'm just getting started, because I feel like most people don't know who I am. So when you ask what's next, I feel like people just need to check out what I have right
yeah,
now,
yeah,
which is
yeah,
an amazing spice and some products that have been made with the spice. We didn't even talk about chin chin. Have you
yeah.
tried the chin chin?
No, I haven't. And
Oh,
for the viewers, chin chin is the Nigerian, what you call it, appetizer dessert, right? That's
yeah.
made out of
I kind of
flour.
describe it like like fried dough.
It's
Like,
like
because
a
I
fried
go
dough.
through it all
Yeah,
the time. Yeah,
yeah,
people are like, "What's chin chin?" Like, because sometimes I'll have some at the market. People are like, "What is this? What's chin chin?" I'm like, "It's kind of fried dough," and then I
yeah.
give it to them. They're like, "Oh, okay, it's crunchy.
It's
It's
crunchy.
got
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. So it can
it's
be
got
an
sweet.
appetizer. It
Yeah,
can be a dessert or just a
yeah,
snack, right? Like it's
yep,
great while you're watching movies. Oh my goodness, I love
exactly.
eating some chin chin while eating movies, just like popcorn. So
Yeah,
that's
so
that's definitely. Raphael, you go ahead and let the viewers. Can you drop the Instagram handle for Niger Grill so people can check it out?
oh
You
yeah, yeah,
know,
yeah.
we're in this
So
digital force that people need
right,
to. You know,
dude. If you don't have Instagram, I don't even know. Like, it's hard. Like, if you're starting out,
yeah,
like, I mean, that's one. If you talk
you
about
got to be on the
advice,
gram. Yep.
you have to be. I mean, Facebook, yes, but if you ask me number one, like, Instagram is kind of like the business card right now. When I
Yeah,
meet
yeah.
people and people are like, "You on Instagram?" Like, are you asking on Instagram? But yeah, we're definitely on the gram. Definitely follow us at, if you type out Niger Grill Spice Mix. If you type that on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're even on TikTok, dude. You gotta come. You gotta come with the time. We're even
Yeah,
on TikTok.
yeah. Oh
We're even
man,
on
I gotta
TikTok.
see some Niger grill. So Niger spelled like Naija, right? For people
Correct.
that are
Yeah,
not Africans
correct.
that don't know. So it's
NAIJAGRILLE, then Spice Mix. So
the spice
Niger
mix.
Grill. And a lot of people ask, like, how do you say that? Niger. Like, there's a
Yeah,
Queen Niger. She's a
yeah,
rapper. So if you
yeah,
know how to
yeah.
say that, then you can say Niger.
That's awesome, man. Hey, Raph, I just want to say thank you so much for coming through to bless us here at the Village You Don't See. Ladies and gentlemen, this is it for our episode with Niger Grill. Be sure to check out the products on Walmart and Etsy and Facebook. As Ralph said, just type in Naija Grill, Rille spice mix. If you can spell spice mix, I'm sorry,
Perfect.
Google. Go find a freaking
Go to
dictionary,
Google.
right?
Google will help you.
And do that and support Ralph. Entrepreneurs coming through. I just really want to thank you so much for blessing us here. As you can see, guys, as an entrepreneur, it takes a lot of people. It takes a lot of connects to really grow your business. Sometimes it's hard to do it in being isolated, doing it. Ralph talks about his friends giving him feedback and all that kind of stuff. So we're excited and definitely thank you for coming through.
No, and thank you, Mo. I appreciate the platform. Again, what you're doing is what small businesses need, like just a platform, because obviously, we don't have the millions of marketing budget. So
Yes.
something like this, like yours, this platform really helps small businesses get out. So I appreciate you for having me on. And definitely anytime, like you can pin me. I'm always down to talk about, Naija Grill, or we can talk about whatever. But yeah, no, definitely appreciate the time.
Appreciate you, man. Have a great day, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks, man.
Viewers, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of The Village